morning. My name's Peter Arkell. I'm your host for this session, the Pakistan session, and we've got a great panel of people that will be sharing information about the opportunities in Pakistan. There is a theme for today's session. It's Pakistan, the mineral marvel, unlocking the future of mining in Pakistan. So that'll be the theme that we'll be following for the morning. I'm in my role in the mining industry. I'm a chairman of the Global Mining Association of China. So Pakistan's a story which is of interest to me, being a neighbouring country, one of the 14 countries that neighbours onto China. So I'm going to be very interested to hear what we've got to learn about the opportunities that are existing in Pakistan, just like the people that are, you guys that are visiting us for this session. So what we're going to be doing is I'm going to show you a brief video, Pakistan, the mineral marvel, unlocking the future of mining in Pakistan, and we'll learn about the diversity of the Pakistan mineralisation, what the opportunities really are, and then we will hear from a group of panellists. But first of all, let's have a look at this video, and then I can tell you who our panellists will be. In a minute.
Pakistan stands at the crossroads of South Asia, Central Asia, and the Middle East as a land of untapped mineral wealth with immense potential. From the lofty ranges of the Karakoram, Himalayas, and the Hindu Kush in the north, to the Arabian Sea in the south, this nation's dynamic landscapes hold treasures waiting to be unearthed. In-country port capacity supplements the country's geographical location, providing off-take opportunities to international markets. Pakistan's mineral resources are as diverse as its geography. The Tethyan Belt, a globally recognized geological marvel, creates extremely fertile metallogenic reserves through western Pakistan. In addition, the Geological Survey of Pakistan has mapped subsurface reserves of metallic, non-metallic, rare earth and industrial minerals and gemstones in a multitude of areas across the country. The groundwork for future discoveries has been laid. Mines in Swat yield some of the world's finest emeralds, while granite reserves in the same region produce the much-coveted black granite. Wider surveys of other districts in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa reveal promising untapped metallic and rare earth elements, making it an attractive destination for miners. Significant iron ore deposits, along with granite quarries and extensive salt reserves in the Punjab feed domestic and international markets. Strategic partnerships and joint ventures have and shall continue to create a competitive sector through innovation and collaboration. Supplementing mining operations are homegrown service providers with decades of experience and demonstrated expertise. These companies provide crucial services for mining and will undoubtedly grow with the sector. Policy reform in the mining sector includes fostering institutional capacity, undertaking skill development initiatives for large-scale employment, and building compliance with global standards. Investors and operators enjoy various incentives such as tax breaks, duty exemptions on mining equipment, and flexibility on foreign ownership. Infrastructure development with particular emphasis on creating necessary facilities at the ports, re-evaluating and facilitating building railway routes and highway networks to provide safe and efficient transport corridors for mining. As the world transitions to greener energy, Pakistan is aligning its mineral development with these global shifts. At the heart of this progress is Reko Dik, a flagship project in Balochistan, developing one of the largest copper-gold deposits in the world, symbolizes Pakistan's mining ambitions and its ability to attract global investment. The project has created thousands of jobs, showcasing the value of tapping another asset Pakistan offers, its young human resource, and has also laid the foundation for a transformative future for the Chagai region. International players are welcome to partner with us to drive innovation and exploration and unlock a brighter, sustainable future. Now is an opportune time. Be a part of this extraordinary transformation of the mining sector in Pakistan.
Now, that's the teaser, and we're going to compete with a lot of noise from outside, so I hope that this doesn't get too difficult for you. But it's great to have that introduction, great to see the innovation and the development that's already taken place in Pakistan, and we're going to be learning more. As I said, we've got a theme, Pakistan, the mineral marvel, unlocking the future of mining in Pakistan. We've got a panel. It'll be chaired by Imran Abbasi. Mr. Abbasi is the Managing Director of Pakistan Petroleum Limited. And Imran, you might come up now. Mr. Abbasi is a seasoned industry professional with diverse multinational experience of 35 years with several mid and large-sized exploration and production companies, as well as major service company. He's worked in various technical and leadership roles in assets in North Sea, Middle East, Australia, Indonesia and PNG, and he joined PPL in his current role 2 or 3 years ago. So Imran will be our moderator for the discussion, and I might say that he also has lived in Melbourne, which is my hometown, and we've discussed cricket, and we've decided that Australia beating India in the cricket was something to be celebrated. So Imran will be joined in a few minutes by Dr. Musaddiq Malik, who's the Minister for Petroleum and Water Resources in the government of Pakistan. Dr. Malik has a diverse skill set built over 2 decades of international strategy consulting and serving in the cabinets of 3 governments in Pakistan. His postgrad doctorate and MBA were in the US and built credentials and expertise in economics and public policy. His experience in the private sector spans right across the world. Dr. Malik has advised policymakers in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Sultanates of Oman and Bahrain, and others on formulating strategies on economic transformation, energy sustainability, industry development, and so on. We also have Timothy Cribb from Barrick. He is Project Director of Reko Diq, which we saw on the video. Tim joined Barrick in 2017, working as mine manager and general manager operations of Barrick's Porgera gold mine. He has extensive operational project experience in the mining sector, having worked in Australia, Africa, Asia and the Middle East. And finally, we'll have Asad Ahmed, who is the Managing Director of Pakistan Mineral Development Corporation. Mr. Ahmed has 25 years of experience in corporate and public sector service in national and multinational companies in the mineral and power sectors. So it's great to have this level of expertise. We'll learn a lot more about what Pakistan has got to offer. And I'll hand over now to you, Imran, and you can bring the discussion forward.
Can everybody hear me? Okay. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm glad you're all here. I'm quite happy to see a good turnout. Let me talk very briefly. I won't take much of your time before I invite Dr. Malik to the stage for his opening remarks. But I do want to share my vision as to why I buy into this mineral marvel vision that we are presenting here. A little bit, as Peter alluded to, I'm coming from an oil and gas background. But over the last 2 to 3 years, I've morphed into a believer in mining. My particular company, let's just talk about my company, even though this is not about my company, it's about Pakistan, but I'll talk a little bit about my own company. We have been in the oil and gas business for years, since the 1950s. Most of our revenue comes from oil and gas. The company, 50 years ago, and mind you, it's 50 years ago. 50 years ago, Pakistan was not on the mining map as far as I know. 50 years ago, PPL decided to go into mining, and we have been mining barite in the Balochistan province since 1974. Very few people know that, but we have been producing, and consistently we have been increasing our ore that we are selling. Over the years, we have also found that where we are mining for barite, there's lead and zinc, so we have actually morphed into that as well. Going forward, we have investment in Recodic, which we feel is a real game changer for us. At present, my company, our revenue is less than 5%. Less than 5% of our revenue is coming from mining. In our 5 to 10 year plan, we are planning to double this. So we are trying to morph from a purely oil and gas company into a mining player as well. So this is the vision that I share with most of the people here in this room. Mining is the way to go. There are phenomenal assets over there. In addition to this, our company is also invested in many exploration leases that we are working with. Some of our partners are actually in this room. So other than that, I think I'm just going to leave it at that, and I will ask Dr. Musaddiq Malik to come on stage and enlighten us with his words of wisdom. And Dr. Saab, if I may, I would like to invite the other panelists as well. Please. Tim, why don't you come and join us? Please. So please, Dr. Saab.
Well, thank you. Thank you all very much for making time. I know it's a very busy time for you. There's a lot happening here, lots of very interesting discussions, lots of new technologies, but I'm grateful that you made time to come to our discussion today. From our perspective, I think one of the most important thing to note is that there's a revolution brewing right now. And that is the revolution, the energy revolution. The world is moving towards electrification, rapidly moving towards electrification and clean energy. And the infrastructure, the backbone of that revolution is going to be critical metals and minerals. And more important elements in this entire transition or in this entire revolution are going to be copper and lithium. They're going to be all other metals, critical metals, rare earth metals are going to play a big role as well. But copper and lithium are going to play a very big role. We are fortunate to have a lot of copper because of the Tethyan belt that you've just seen in the video. And we probably are we're finding traces of other rare earth metals as well as lithium as well. So our geological survey, we're revolutionizing it, we're completely restructuring it, and very soon, and when I say very soon, hopefully in a year or so, we'll bring forth a wealth of data that would be available to the rest of the world to come and jointly explore with us. I would like to bring forth a few things which I think are very important. First of all, in this entire revolution that we are calling green revolution or energy revolution or electrification revolution, in which we are not only going to move towards clean energy, renewable energy, sustainable energy systems, hopefully making sure that the carbon that we're emitting is also the carbon that we are capturing and absorbing in that new ecology as we move forward. We're doing all of this because we want a sustainable world. We don't want to do injustice. If you do injustice to your environment, the environment doesn't care. So if you think over millions of years, if Earth becomes totally barren and no life exists on Earth, the nature would still not care. The rock would still continue to rotate around the sun. And therefore, any injustice that we carry out right now is compromising our sustainability. And it's for the sake of our own Earth, Mother Earth. It's for the sake of our own future generations that we're moving towards a sustainable system, a sustainable ecology, which would get us going, hopefully, forever. But just the way injustice is unsustainable in terms of overall global environment, injustice is also not sustainable in terms of communities. If you look at the mining operations all across the world, there's one peculiar fact that would shout out at you. Either they lead to a conflict or they're in conflict-ridden areas. And both of the reasons are there because the community does not participate and doesn't have the ownership of whatever we're extracting from the Mother Earth. So while we create a lot of value for the world in terms of this revolution, energy revolution, we also have to make sure that the ownership of mostly downtrodden communities, because these mining assets are generally in hardship areas. And because of that, communities there, initially at least, are not very prosperous. So therefore, I think, both for the sake of our own good in terms of corporations and countries, but also in the way of justice, it is critically important that as we think about the mining operations, we also think about communities. And we make sure, much like the ivory kind of transition that we've made, and we've made owners of poaching and hunting, we've made communities owners of the assets, and they are the protectors. I think we need to have exactly the same view in this big rare earth or big metals, big mining revolution that is brewing right now, for the sustainability, ensuring the sustainability of those communities first and foremost, in the way of their social development, in the way of infrastructure that is required, both for the communities as well as for mining, and their participation in this revolution. And when I say participation, in my view, it is not basically some miners going into holes and digging out precious metals. It's the leadership role as well. It's training these people for the future leadership of the mining revolution. It's the technology, it's engineering, it's design, it's value chains. And their participation in this entire value chain is mission critical. Now I'd give you the third view, again from the same idea of injustice, and I'll stop, I don't want to bore you. And I think from the country's perspective, one would also like to see the same kind of justice that one is proposing for Mother Nature as well as for the local communities. We have an entire value chain, but somehow or the other, the producers of these assets, they are reduced to just the mining activity. And a lot of mud is dug out, and all of this mud is then transported to other parts of the world where value is created. So if you think about the entire value chain, we have to think about where the asset is. We have to think about the value creation process. And then we also have to think about value capture process. And I think a reasonable and a fair representation and participation of the countries where these assets are located, whether it be Latin America, South America, Africa, or in our case, Pakistan. I think the participation of these regions and the participation of these countries in the entire value chain is also very critical and fair. And if we try to do injustice to that level of fairness as well, at the end the equilibrium is going to get dislodged. And then we are all going to suffer. I said this yesterday as well, I would say it again. The most expensive way of creating value is to transport mud. The cost of transportation is enormous. But if you create metals and minerals out of them, and you move them downstream, and you move some of the end products, even if 100% of those end products are taken away, imagine the cost of taking an enormous kind of, almost a mountain of dust, or taking these refined products with a lot of value, and the product and the value still belongs to the corporation. And you can take 100% of that for export purposes and some for the domestic use. But your factor input cost would go down, your creativity would improve, your value creation cost leadership would be established, and you'd be able to create a lot of value. And a lot of value for the entire world, for humanity. Because the cost of the end product would come down, which basically means the products that people use and the services that people use, the cost of those products and services would come down. But all of this is going to require a lot of innovation. And if there's one thing that the mining industry and the downstream industries do not have at all, it's innovation. Think about mining today, and think about mining from 50 or 100 years ago. You're still using the same technology with a little bit more precision and more humane conditions. You're still using water for the metal to settle. You're still polluting a lot of water, although we are now kind of recycling water and recovering it. But look at the technology. Look at those old school steel mills that used to guzzle about 50 or 70, 80 years ago, and look at the nifty steel mills of today. We haven't seen the same in minerals and mines. We haven't seen the same revolution. We haven't seen the same innovation. So I think the underpinning of all of what I'm saying is going to be that revolution which is going to be grounded in innovation. If we're unable to do that, then we'd end up with the same chicken and egg problem. Do you have enough energy? Do you have enough water? Is there enough resource being produced? Because there's no micro-milling concept here. And therefore, we'd continue to move dust around and end up producing the same products and services for humanity at a much higher cost, rather than at a lower cost, and increase not only the efficiency, but also the utilization and the cost. So I see glazed eyes. I think I've bored people enough. But again, I would like to sum up by saying, from our perspective, we want to be citizens of this world. We're looking for partners along the entire value chain, from mapping to mining, from mining to processing, from processing to smelting, downstreaming, producing end products, and we are in no rush. It's not like we are making all of this conditional, but we'd like to invite global partners to come to Pakistan and look at Pakistan as a hub where a lot of interesting things, not just mining, a lot of interesting things can be carried out. Pakistan is open for business, and you all are most welcome to come and join us. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Dr. Sir. Thanks for your enlightening views, but I won't let you off the hook yet. I have one other question for you, and I'll come back to you. Let's move on to Tim. Tim, as he was introduced, is the project director for Recodic and has been operating in Pakistan I've worked with him for the last couple of years. So he's well placed to actually enlighten everybody as to his experience in Pakistan, how easy or difficult it has been, and whether he's received the right kind of support from the government and other stakeholders in the country. So would you like to share some views with us, please?
Yeah. Firstly, thank you, Minister, and thank you, Imran, for the opportunity to join you today and share our experience, both as Recodic and as Barrick, operating in Pakistan for the past 2.5 to 3 years. So, look, just a bit of background on Recodic. Recodic is a partnership between the government of Balochistan, the government of Pakistan, and Barrick. And I think that's a very key point. And as the Minister said, you know, we really feel that as operators. It's a genuine partnership with total alignment amongst its shareholders and total alignment in the country. So that's been very helpful for us in terms of advancing the project. We finished the feasibility study for the project in the last month, and importantly, over the last 2 years, we've been advancing construction early works at the site. So with that, we've had to get a lot of approvals in place, a lot of permits in place, and I think one of the key topics which has been discussed at this forum, and definitely in the industry, is just how long it takes really good geological deposits like Reko Dig to come from that exploration and be brought into production. And whilst Reko Dig definitely has a very long history, one that the partners have put behind the arbitration and they're working together now, and as I said, it's working very well, but we've been able to permit and advance this project much quicker than you would see for other opportunities. And I think that's really one of the key things which Pakistan has to offer. That genuine desire to bring this forward, and also some attractive investment, tax breaks and the like, which they afford to generate that investment into big projects like Reko Dig. So that's definitely been critical, and it's a fairly unique position. We actually have a team which has been set up by the Prime Minister. So the Prime Minister has a project support team that reports directly to him every month, and that has a full list of all of the permits, approvals, and all the regulatory processes which he needs to see approved. And if there's any hold up there, he's directly engaged with his departments. And of course, on our side, he holds our feet to the fire to deliver on what we've said we'd do as an operator, which is also a good thing. And I think, in terms of the sustainability, which the Minister touched on, and that's very critical to both Barrick, but also it's important for the mining industry. We want to be developing these assets in a sustainable manner, and we want to be doing what's right for the environment, but what is also right for the communities. And there was a really good example of that in the ESIA process that we've just gone through. So it's not like this thing was pushed through. Yes, the time was reasonable, but what's very important is we worked with the Balochistan EPA and we took them through the international standards that both Barrick and the lenders that are participating in the financing of this project need to see. And after that, at the end of the process, the Balochistan EPA was very complimentary, as was, Government of Pakistan. They said this is a very transparent, robust process. The engagement with communities is something that we haven't seen that level of in the past, and it's something that we want to take going forward. So bringing international partners in, I think Pakistan's very open to the idea of how we build the regulation and build the structures in the country to deliver that sustainable development. Also, earlier you saw on the video that large pool of talent that exists in Pakistan. It's a huge population, and there really isn't a large degree of big-scale mining opportunity. And I can say, particularly in the area around the mine where we've set up training colleges and we've sent graduates overseas so they get opportunity at these mines, they are fully supportive of this project, and they're really just reaching out for people to come in and help them develop, help them get opportunities to learn these skills so that they can participate in a project like that. And those things are obviously very rewarding as an operator, and when you come into a place like Pakistan, I think those opportunities are immense, and it's not just on the development of labour skills. This project was set up with an advanced social development contribution fund, and I think that's also a critical item, and something which also comes up at this forum and in the industry. Too often the benefits that come to the communities, they come too late in the project, because you obviously have these big capital investments that are needed, so the profits and the repayment take some time to flow through. So what we have put in place for Reko Dig is this advanced fund, and we've put more than $7 million into this fund already during the feasibility study. And when I look at the smallest 4 communities around the mine, and then I look at the larger town of Kundi, which is about 2 hours drive from the mine, if I look at that 2 years ago and I look at that today, you can see a marked difference in the quality of, clean water for drinking, the access to more food, more variety, the education system, and all of that is a really great thing to be a part of. So I think it's not just the mining, it's not just the opportunity, it's also what we can bring to the host communities, as well as the sustainable development. So it's been a great opportunity, and certainly we look for other people to come in and share it with us.
Thanks. Thanks, Tim. We are going to move briefly away from the metals. Not many of you know that Pakistan has got other mineral resources other than metals. And that's where Mr. Asad Ahmed comes in. I've invited him specifically to talk about that. Pakistan has been mining for pink salt for what, 50, 60 years maybe even more. I personally don't know much about it, so I'm going to take the opportunity and ask Mr. Asad Ahmed to talk to us about the opportunities in pink salt, and then we'll come back to the metal side after that. Please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wasi. Actually, geological survey has shown vast and untapped resources in non-metallic minerals and regarding these rare earth elements. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. And yes, you are right. Pakistan has a lot more to offer other than metals. And there are opportunities for investors in large-scale processing of minerals used for domestic as well as regional industries. And the investors who are interested to join in vertically integrated downstream industries regarding this mining of rock salt. And we have actually two projects which alone belongs to pink rock salt. One is of the edible side. Pink salt is a rare commodity across the world and only available in Pakistan. And it has enormous health benefits for human and especially for kids. And that project is a great opportunity. We want to set up a state-of-the-art crushing and packaging unit in Pakistan, which will be located in special economic zone. And the total estimated cost initially is around $60 million. And the other project, which is part of the industrial side, which is regarding setup of soda ash plant. Soda ash plant, actually the mineral to chemical plant. Soda ash is being utilized in glass industry, in paper industry, in detergent manufacturing, as well as it is being used in culinary industries. So PMDC have the valid mining leases of these rock salt, having around 22 billion tons of proven resources. So the second part, which I told you earlier, which is regarding soda ash, the total investment requirement is around $165 million. So if the investors are interested, we have many more information regarding these projects and pre-feasibility. We can share that information with our investors. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Malik, if I may burden with you with a couple of more questions. I don't want to be rude, but we'll have to be cognizant of the time, but I would like to pose two questions to you. I'm sure they are very close to your heart. The first one has to do with the legal framework in Pakistan. If you could share your thoughts with the audience about what the government has done in terms of the legal framework. And secondly, is a question very relevant to me personally, is that you have seen that a lot of oil and gas companies in Pakistan, the larger ones, are sort of venturing into the mining sector now. We've got 3-4 major companies in Pakistan. They're all sort of dabbling in it. And I would like to be a little bit arrogant and say that we are ahead of them because we are actually mining, whereas they are just exploring at the moment. So if you could share with us, what do you think and how can these state-owned enterprises, the oil and gas companies, can contribute to this sector? So, really there are two questions, but I'll let you manage these.
So, in terms of the first question, which I think is very important, the regulatory regime in Pakistan was completely fragmented.
Correct.
And for Pakistanis, it wasn't a complication because you could come in and you knew exactly what you could expect from one province or one region and what you may expect differently from another region. But that created an enormous problem for investors coming from outside. So for example, if Ricodic is there, and there's Barrick Gold and there are a couple of other partners, and then they have their own contractors, their own subcontractors, their own supplies, we needed a standardized framework. So we worked very hard, and I'd like to recognize our friend Colonel Saab, who's sitting right there, who worked very hard over the past 1 year to standardize the entire regime. So right now, we in Pakistan, across Pakistan, we have a stable and singular regime. And we've gotten the provinces to buy into that regime. And all the regulations very soon after the approval of the respective cabinets is going to be with slight variations about the same. So when you walk into Pakistan, you could expect no matter where you go, whether you want to go into gems and you want to go into precious metals, and you want to create kind of a fashion design cluster somewhere, or gems and stones cluster somewhere, or you want to get into copper, or you want to get into pink salt, you would find the regime very stable and very predictable and very transparent. So I think the reason why I said Pakistan is open for business is because we've been working hard at it for about 1.5 years, 2 years, and now we have standardized all the regulations, and you can exactly expect what kind of taxation, what kind of royalties, give or take, a slight variation, and therefore I think Pakistan is open for business. Simultaneously, we're also working hard at the standards of working conditions, because we want more sophisticated companies to come to Pakistan. As I mentioned earlier, it's important for us safety and security and the working conditions, humane and good working conditions for our miners is very important. Therefore, on the one hand, we are standardizing the regulatory regime. On the other hand, we're working on health and safety standards and making sure that we have a world-class cluster of mining and downstreaming. So that's kind of at the high level. I am available, Brigadier Saab is available. Where is he sitting? I don't see him. So our team is available here. You may have specific questions. Please come up with those questions and we'd answer to your satisfaction. At any level of detail, we'll try to tell you what kind of framework do we have available. In terms of state-owned enterprises, I think there's an opportunity and I think there is a challenge. I think the opportunity is that 1,000-pound gorillas are coming to mining. And that's a tremendous opportunity because the payback period for mining is generally long, and therefore you need large corporations that understand the value of investment over long horizons to come and participate. So I'm very grateful that most of our state-owned enterprises which have an expertise in exploring what is under subsurface are coming to the fore, and they are leveraging the platforms that they have developed over the years and refining them and honing them to a new application area. PPL has been working on it for a while. New companies, Mari, OGDC, and a bunch of other companies are now coming to the fore, and they're learning very fast and participating in taking big concessions. I think the challenge here is going to be the temptation to do it all yourself. And the temptation is going to be to vertically integrate. And that vertical integration may create a company, but would not create a cluster. So when I look at these state-owned enterprises, or even our friends at Barrick Gold, I look at them as a hub. And this hub needs to have spokes that go into community. And they should be the triggers for creating a massive proliferation of small to medium-sized enterprises. So when you think of mining, you're also thinking logistics. You're also thinking housing. You're also thinking food supplies. You're basically thinking about the creation of a whole new city. When you make investments of $1 billion, $2 billion, or $4 billion, it's like erecting a whole new city. And city is complex. And this propensity for someone to say, I shall create the city, is a temptation that needs to be beaten. So I think high standards need to be put in place, and through those service level agreements in round one, if we have from local communities new companies popping up, which are suppliers, which are packers, which are truckers, which are miners, which are diggers, which are machinery suppliers, which basically are people who are going to do the maintenance and the security. When you think about all of these things, think of yourself as a hub and set standards which basically these new companies have to meet, and then jump standards every year. So our companies are state-owned enterprises. They need to have a scheme of standards, and every year the standards need to improve. But you have to walk very delicately and very carefully these small to medium-sized enterprises, because through these standards and service level agreements, their productivity is going to increase, their capabilities are going to increase, and very soon you would have a proliferation, a diffusion of innovation, diffusion of technology, diffusion of high standards, and consequently the productivity of the system would improve. So temptation to improve the productivity of a company should be beaten, and the temptation to improve the productivity of the system and the productivity of the entire mining cluster, that should be the direction. Otherwise, we'd have a half-baked, decent, and no more than decent, half-baked, decent large corporation with modest productivity. And therefore, the state-owned enterprises, while they may continue to exploit the resources within Pakistan, even with modest productivity, they would never become world-class. They would never be able to take that package and go to other parts of the world and be as good and as robust as any of their partners right now. So that would be my very high-level kind of thinking, and I would again motivate and hopefully as we go along incent our large corporations to get into this hub and spoke kind of framework. Serve as a hub, set standards, improve standards, fund these small to medium-sized enterprises, and let the system productivity rise rather than one company's productivity rise.
Thank you. Okay, I think we have time for one other question, and I'll pose that to Tim. This is not a trick question, Tim. Obviously, you are heavily focused on Recodic, so your focus would be Recodic and Recodic and Recodic. But looking at it holistically, at the Mark Bristow level and at the, at your board level, what is Barrick thinking in future? I know it's premature, if the focus is Recodic. Where do you see Barrick going in Pakistan going forward? Do you see other opportunities or what?
Yeah, I mean, there's huge geological opportunity in Pakistan, and I think, for 20 or 30 years, the big companies have known about the Reko Diq deposit, and they've known about the mineralisation around Reko Diq, and particularly in Baluchistan on that large-scale copper-gold opportunity. So I think if the geology is there, inevitably, other players will want to come and get involved. And up until now and up until someone builds Reko Diq, there's a barrier, because Baluchistan's such a remote place, and yes, the rest of Pakistan, there is more development, but it is very limited in Baluchistan, and I think Reko Diq is going to break down some of those barriers. The international suppliers and manufacturers for large-scale mining equipment, they are not in the area. And so when you look at Pakistan as an investment, you have to break through that, you have to bring in all these providers. And that's one of the really good things about Reko Diq for the region. It is so big that it will bring in our partners, So we've got Metso, Weir is here. Once they are in country and they're there, it makes it a lot easier for other people to access these geological opportunities. And if you couple that with the pro-investment stance, which, you clearly have in Pakistan, I think it's inevitable that these other opportunities arise. And certainly as Barrick, we're looking beyond Reko Diq and in that area at other opportunities.
Okay. All right, thanks. I think we'll be able to take a couple of questions from the audience if anybody wants to pose a question to any of the panelists. Please stand up, introduce yourself, and ask the question, please. We have a mic. The gentleman is
Okay.
over there.
Morning. My name is Moses. I come from Valley Blades from Canada. We are a manufacturer of ground engaging tools. But in general, my question is about the economic stability for investing in Pakistan. I mean, on the long run. Thank you.
Well, I think a couple of years ago, we ran into trouble with our external sector. But right now, if you look at the trajectory on which Pakistan is going, I think the economy has stabilized. Pakistan has never ever defaulted on any of its commitments. We are right now poised to grow at about 4 to 5% a year. That's the direction in which we are heading. This year, we are targeting about a 2.5 to 3% growth. And then we want to sustainably grow while making sure, and mining therefore is going to play a big role, because we don't want to just focus on consumption. We also want to build up these clusters and begin to export. And therefore, the export focus brings minerals and mining to the fore, because most of these materials, most of these mines, most of these metals are going to plug into global value chains. So we would like to host a part of this value chain as well, but we would also like to be the exporters to the world, whether it be the products or whether it be the minerals, original minerals and metals. So I think we are along a stable trajectory now. The storm has passed, and our inflation is completely under control. We are at about 4% inflation. Our policy rates are coming down, which is reflective of both our desire to move towards growth and also the stability in the country. We are poised to grow over the next 3 to 5 years at about 4 to 5%. So 4 to 5% growth, about 3 to 4% inflation, decent policy rate. I think it's a reasonably stable framework for people to come and invest in Pakistan.
Okay. All right. One more question, and then I'll sum up this session. If anybody, Dr. Birk.
I'm Dr. Nawaz Ahmed. I'm Director General, Ministry of Energy, Petroleum Division. My question is to Crib. Barrick Gold is leading, mining sector company across the globe. You have a lot of technical, financial capacities. So with this, background, we are looking towards our own human resource development, according to your Barrick Gold standards. So I would like to know what are your strategies, how you would like to take our many people as per the quality of your project and your company. So I would like to know your strategies of HR development. Thank you.
Okay. I think I caught it. So strategy around the HR, is it? Or the human resource capital, yeah? Okay. I think, look, at Barrick, we invest in the host communities, and for us it is about getting that support. So if you look at what we've done already, we've set up a training centre in Nakundi. We've already had 300 people go through that, and we train them in skills that are going to be needed, because what you don't want to do is just come in and train thousands of people and then not provide opportunity, because that will generate discontentment and it doesn't achieve the end result. So we are matching the training and development to the needs of the build-up of the mine. And it is much bigger than just the direct mine. So we look at the full supply chain, we look at the full area of Pakistan, and we try and maximise the spend in Pakistan and the operations in Pakistan. And we're already seeing supply come from Quetta. So then we look at what the conditions and what the training is we need to offer in Quetta and then Pakistan. We also look to our partners. So when we look to Metso, Weir, Komatsu, Caterpillar, we require that they help us invest in what they need. So mechanics, drivers, they will all contribute to that training program and match it to their needs. So I think growing as we grow is obviously central to RicoDig. But then more broadly on human resources, part of this full rewrite of the legislation which has been going on, it has looked at the conditions of workers, and it has looked at how Barrick operates around the world and what we see in different jurisdictions. And it's tried to capture the best parts of that and create a good framework to move forward in Pakistan that's both economically competitive but also guarantees the rights and the conditions of the employees. And we're fully supportive of that and engaged in that process with the government.
Okay. All right. I think thanks to my panelists. What I'll do before we close, I'll just summarize some of the key points. So I'll try to read through them. Pakistan indeed is a mineral marvel. I think the revolution is about to start. It has started already, and we are seeing tremendous efforts and interest in Pakistan's mineral sector. And we feel that the next 2 to 3 years are going to be pivotal as far as investment in this sector is concerned. Dr. Musaddiq Malik made a very important point about electrification and how that's going to drive the business. And one point that resonated very close to me, to my heart, was the fact that right now most of our mining ventures in the metal industry in particular has to do with creating the concentrate and shipping it out. So his point is very well taken, that when you are sending the ore out or concentrate out, you are shipping a lot of stuff at a lot of cost. Whereas if you could refine it and get down to the smelting level or the ingot levels, there's a lot more value to be added. I think Pakistan is ready to go that way. Only time will tell how we will get there. Another positive for the mining industry in Pakistan is what Barrick has been doing. As Tim alluded to, that the feasibility study is done. It is looking good, and we are looking at FID in the next, Tim, correct me if I'm wrong, we are looking at June or so. That's what we have announced. In June, we will be FIDing, and then first ore would be moving from Reko Diq in 2028 sometimes. Yes. Correct? I've got my dates right. Yeah. There are other opportunities as well. I mean, we keep talking about the copper and the gold belt, the so-called Tethyan belt. There are opportunities in pink salt. As I got educated today that we have been mining pink salt for 70 years in Pakistan, the so-called Himalayan salt. And there are resources in the soda ash arena as well. Finally, just a couple of other housekeeping matters here. We have a pavilion, which is just around the corner. The nice map that you saw with all the geological features and where all the minerals are located, it was just flashed over there. A 3D image is being displayed at the stand right now. There's a lot of interest there. If you want to take a look at it, just wander on over. We have our company representatives there. Service partners are there. So there's an opportunity to network and see what we are doing. And we'll be happy to host you over there. And finally, I would like to also mention that Pakistan is hosting a mining summit in Pakistan. It's going to be a conference of a very large magnitude. It's going to be in the first week in April 2025 in Islamabad, which is the capital city. We are hoping to invite most big operators, mining operators and service companies. So it will be a great opportunity to network and to understand what Pakistan mining sector has to offer. With that, I thank you for your participation, but before we leave, I would like to, as a symbol of gratitude, I would like to give some souvenirs to my panelists. If you could just bear with us. Please bring this in. Next up.
This is for me?
This is for you, sir. So I would like to add that these are not plastic replicas. So these rocks were actually collected from the actual mine sites. I mean, Meher is standing over there. She sent a number of people over there, and they physically picked these rocks, and then we had them mounted.
Thank you.
Thank you. Don't ask me what they are, but I'm
don't ask me either.
But it's a real rock, Tim.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for your participation. With that, we close the session. We thank you for your participation, and thanks for coming. And do drop by our stand around the corner. And remember, April 2025 in Islamabad, we are having a conference. Thank you.